start recording now. So again, thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, we want to share a little bit more information about new student and family programs. So Grant, if you will move to the next slide for me. So who is new student and family programs? So new student family programs, we assist new students and their families in their transition to Florida State, the Florida State community through initiatives, partnerships, programs, and resources. We do this through a multitude of programming, one of them being orientation, obviously, but also we do something called Charter Course, which is the first year seminar course that we offer to all incoming students. We also do some programming at the very beginning of the semester, working with Welcome FSU, called Ask a Null. So giving directions on those first couple of days of classes, first day photos. So if you kind of know those, like, it's my first day of kindergarten or my first day of X, Y, and Z grade, we do those as well, and which are always a hit for our families and our students as well. And then we also do family programming, as we mentioned. So we do a great deal of family programming, a lot of family communications, which include our FSU chats. And I'll talk a little bit more about those starting on the next slide. So on the next slide, it kind of talks a little bit more about our Family Connection e-newsletter. So this newsletter is absolutely incredible, and really we recommend that you all sign up for those, and you can sign up for those using the link there. We'll also share that link a little bit later. But really what the newsletter is we send one out every month. Once we get into the summer, we have a summer series, so it'll go out really in June. But every month outside of that, we share information what's happening here on campus. We do an office spotlight, so you can learn a little bit more about some of the offices or departments here on campus. Any up-to-date news or information that you need to know, we share that as well as a newsletter. And there's always information, whether it be we'll talk about football tickets, we'll talk about homecoming, family weekend, various opportunities for you to continue to stay connected with us here at Florida State, whether you were here in Tallahassee with us or away in wherever you all call home. So again, we highly recommend that you all sign up for this newsletter. And again, we will share that opportunity with you all in a link in just a bit or a little bit later in our time together so that you can go ahead and sign up for that. So Grant, can you go to the next slide for me? So we really want to make sure that you stay connected with us. So we are pretty heavily involved on social media in a multitude of ways, and they're all the same handle. So it is FSU NSFP. Again, that is FSU NSFP. Again, we have a Facebook where maybe you saw this event and maybe that's how you got connected. We have our Instagram where we share a lot of information regarding our programming, but also sharing other offices' information there. We also have a Twitter, we even have a TikTok, as well as a YouTube, where we share some great information and links for you all as well. So we definitely want to make sure that you are staying connected with us and follow us. We do follow back. So follow us so that we can keep you connected on what's going on here at Florida State. So on the next slide, there's a little more, some additional opportunities from our office. We have something called the FSU Family Blog, and this blog is written by some of our students. So a lot of our, whether it be students directly working with us, our orientation leaders or our office assistants, or it is someone within our department, we write blogs about best ways for you to stay engaged with your student, and also hear from student perspectives about what's going here on campus and things that maybe you want to know as well. We also have our collection of FSU chats archived so that you can go back and listen or watch some of the opportunities and campus partners we've talked with. In the past couple of months, we've talked with some of our involvement areas. So thinking, student government, fraternity sorority life, our Center for Leadership and Social Change, talking about sustainability during the month of November. We've talked about internships, the career fair, finding a job. Our most recent one last month was around financial aid to paying for the fall. So highly recommend that you all look out for those things. And again, we'll be able to share these links again later if you aren't able to see them here. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and jump into, we're going to go ahead and move into our presentation today. And I ask that while we're going through this, that if you would mute yourselves, please, so that we can make sure that everyone is able to hear what is going on, and everyone has the opportunity to hear what we're sharing. and it can hear it to the best of your ability. So if you would please mute yourselves, that'd be really great as we are spending this time together. So we're gonna go ahead and jump in so we can go ahead and get started with everything. So Grant, if you want to go to the next slide for me, perfect. So just to kick us off, do want to share some information about these orientation steps for both our summer and fall students. So here on this slide, you will kind of see the steps that your student should be taking or have already completed as you all are getting ready. So the first step is registering for new NOLE orientation. That's what we call our orientation here at Florida State. So the first step is to sign up for an orientation session and mark your calendars. Students can access their orientation registration portal through their My FSU homepage after they're paying their admission deposit. It is important that your student go ahead and register, not just themselves, but also you all as family members for this time frame. They have until May 6th, so that May 6th date is really important for you all to know, to make sure you let your students know, to make sure they register for that. Make sure they register again themselves, but also you as well. Once they register, they can go in and make any edits or updates, but it is important that you all go ahead and have them register, or your students make sure they register themselves as well as you. So the next step is, and again, that takes about 10 minutes. So it'll be about a 10-minute time frame to complete. It does not take long to register at all. The next step is completing starting at state. So we have some online pre-orientation modules to best prepare yourself and your student for their orientation session that will take place in person here in Tallahassee. This is a great opportunity for your student as well as yourself to learn a little bit more about essential information to help them get started here at Florida State. They can access their starting at state modules a week prior to their orientation date. So make sure you remind your student that a week out that they should be looking for some information, and they should be looking for a link from an email with like kind of like a pre-arrival email, which we'll show you here in just a bit, with information to complete these modules. It is important they complete these before arriving for orientation. If they have not completed these before arriving for orientation, we will ask them to complete it. They would need to do that before they can do their advising during their orientation. The next step is to attend new NOLE orientation. So this is an in-person session. All of our sessions are in person this summer, and it's held over a 3-day time span. And I'll kind of go over each day with you all in just a bit, so you kind of can get a sense of what you and your student can expect from your time here with us. You and your student will meet with our orientation leaders and also their peers, learn about resources and opportunities that await them, as well as you at Florida State. Meet with their academic advisor and plan out their first semester of classes. Orientation dates range from May 15th to July 15th. If your student as your student is looking for dates, make sure that they are aligning and looking through those as they register to make sure they're picking the best time for you all. We recognize that it's during the summer, so there are summer plans, maybe vacations already planned. So making sure you remind your students to plan around those dates so that they're able to be here for those full 3 days. And then, of course, at the end, registering for classes. So after your students completed the orientation session, on that final day, they will complete their academic advising, and then we will pick up we will release the hold from our side for your student to register for classes. Again, registering classes will take about 30 minutes. They'll do that all online, working with their academic advisors specifically during orientation. So moving on to our next slide, you will see some information again about orientation registration. So orientation registration, the first thing you need to do, your student needs to do, is making sure that that $200 admissions deposit is in by May 1st. That is very important. That is this coming up Sunday. So that is very important that your student go ahead and do that so that they can go ahead and seal and reserve their spot as a student here, whether it be in the summer or the fall. Again, the next thing is registering for orientation by May 6th. They can find that link on their My FSU. Again, that is My FSU, so capital F, capital S, capital U. main page. It's under the admissions tile, and they'll just click it. Will say, have you registered for orientation yet? They'll go ahead and click that, and it will take them to our third-party registration system called Visual Zen. That's where they will fill out all their information that they need to share. They will have the opportunity to kind of talk about housing and dining, things that they want to do while they're here for that orientation time frame. And then, of course, they will receive a confirmation email with general information. On the next slide, you will kind of see an example of what they will see on their page. So once they have signed into orientation, this is what their page will look like. You'll see here on the left-hand side, it has a few tabs. It talks about new note orientation. This is their personal information, student information, select their dates, select if they are opting into dining. So for them to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner during their time with us, that is an opt-in experience. So you want to make sure if your student is doing that they are doing so. Any accessibility accommodations, so any accommodations that your student may have, we want to make sure that they fill those out. They will sign a quick form acknowledging that they've kind of read the student code of conduct. They will then get another tab about the Family Connection e-newsletter, what I mentioned earlier in our time. They will get some information about that and kind of checking to opt you into that if you would like. The next thing they will see will be about family orientation. So that's when they will have the opportunity to register you all or any other family members that they would like to join during that time frame, and then have them also complete the dining, opting in as well. There's some orientation agreement terms that we ask our students to sign and agree to, but this is the page that they will see to make sure that they fill out all their information. So please make sure your student, as they're registering, if they've already done so, that they go back and kind of look through, make sure everything is up to date. On the next slide, we'll kind of move forward. So now that your students registered for orientation, that week before will be the next time you will hear from our office. So the week before is when the session closes in the system. So the week before our, for example, our first set of orientation sessions is the week of May 15th. So the week before, so that week starting May 9th, we will close all sessions for the following week. That is for us to have the opportunity to generate rosters, making sure we're sharing information with our academic advisors in Microsoft Teams so that they know which students are coming, sharing with our housing folks so they can prepare the residence halls for those students that are staying on campus. Gives us an opportunity to print name tags and any other materials and to pull any things that you and your student will need for that time. Gives us the opportunity to talk with the Office of Accessibility Services, talk about any accommodations you may have or you or your student may have. And then, of course, some pre-arrival emails will be sent out. So once that week before, we'll send out that pre-arrival email, share those starting at state pre-orientation modules with your student. And then they will have the opportunity to see those things and, kind of get a sense of what to expect. On the next slide, you will see the pre-arrival email example. So this is exactly what your student will see. When they get the email, it will say new note orientation, Florida State University. It is just a general welcome from us. It's a general welcome from us, kind of letting them know what to expect. That's when we will share the orientation schedule with your student, as well as you. We'll send an email to you as long as your student puts your email account in the registration. We'll share a little quick overview of the orientation schedule. And then, as you can see here on the right, it says the starting at state modules. They will click that tab and it will take them on to their starting at state modules. They will also find a packing list. So if any information they need to make sure they bring with them to orientation, that includes any government issued IDs. So that can be a passport, license, anything like that. Making sure they have comfortable shoes, you and your student. We do a little bit of walking. Anything involving the weather, rain jackets, umbrellas, and various other things that you all will be able to find in that packing list. And then any forms, immunization forms, health forms, because you may have the opportunity to go meet with our health services here on campus. So moving on to the next slide, you will see that our starting at state module. So you will see it says students, guest, family. So you all will also have access to some starting at state modules that you have the opportunity to complete as well. So as long as your student has registered you for orientation, you will also see these modules. And they're, again, a quick, they have a great bit of information, and we want to make sure that your student is completing them. You will also see here some information, some examples of things they could see. One is about their colleges, looking at what college they are going to fall within, as well as something called Engage 100, which is a first-year seminar course that all first-year students will need to complete. Again, that is all first-year students will need to complete an Engage 100 course, just to give them the opportunity to learn a little bit more about Florida State, practice and learn some study skills and time management skills that will make them the most successful as they could be in their classroom settings. So moving on, we're going to talk about new orientation. So now we're going to actually talk about what you all, yourself as well as your student, can expect to see during your time here with us in Tallahassee for in-person orientation. So the next slide, you'll kind of see our session dates. So our session dates kind of run, and I'll kind of break down what these mean for you all. So anytime you see the word FTIC, that's first time in college, those are our first year students. We just use that acronym for ourselves, and that's an internal piece for us here at Florida State. So FTIC stands for first time in college. So those sessions for summer first time in college students are May 15th through June 17th. These are for our summer students that are joining us for those summer sessions. That's because on June 20th, that's when summer B, so when the summer session starts, students are able to, they're joining us in summer, are ready to start their classes then. If your student is joining us in the fall, we will start our fall first time in college sessions, June 5th through July 15th. And again, those are those fall first time in college sessions. Our transfer students will have sessions that will take place post July 15th, and we will be sharing those dates very soon. Those have not been released yet, but we will be sharing those very soon out to the public. But your student should be able to register if they're a transfer student in the Visuals In system. So please do not worry, they're able to register. And you want to make sure that your student is registering as soon as they can. Not from fear of them not having classes. They will absolutely have classes no matter what. But if they are able to register for those earlier sessions, that may be best for them and ease a little bit of concern about those classes. And then also recognizing that on August 22nd is when fall classes begin. So that August 22nd is the first day of classes for our fall students. On the next slide, you will see some amazing human beings. These are our 2022 orientation leaders. So these are the students that will be leading your student as well as yourself through the orientation process. We have 26 orientation leaders in one team leader, so a team of 27 amazing student leaders that are here to support you and your student throughout orientation and beyond. They range from some of them are first year students going into their sophomore or second year, and others are going into their senior year or their fourth or fifth year here at Florida State. They bring with them a wealth of knowledge. They just completed their spring training, and we're very excited for them to be able to work with you all and for you to get to know them yourself, because you all will also have an orientation leader or a group of orientation leaders, about 3 to 4, that you will get to work with. But again, this amazing group will be the people you will see leading. You will see the stripes that they're wearing. Once you see a stripe, you ask the questions, right? So while you're here on campus with us during orientation, they will be happy to assist you in any way possible. So moving on, we're going to kind of talk again. This is mainly going to be for our first time in college or first year students, their schedule. We will not be talking about the transfer schedule during this time together, but we'll talk about our first year students. So for day one, really we like to call this evening one, but we call it day one as a whole, but really it begins in the evening. So for student housing and orientation check-in, will begin at 5:30 p.m. In that pre-arrival email, you will get directions to exactly where you're able to park and have your student check in for orientation or into student housing. Again, students have the opportunity to opt out of housing on campus. So if your student is not staying with us on campus, then maybe they're staying with you in a hotel or a family friend, or you're staying somewhere else, they have the option to do that, but they do need to make sure that they are checking in with us on that day one, that 5:30 to 6:45 p.m. time frame. There'll be an opening session in the first orientation leader small group. So again, your student will spend some time with an orientation leader in what we call small groups. Again, these small groups are between 25 and 30 other incoming students led by one of our orientation leaders, and talk a lot about how to get involved on campus, things they should know about being a Florida State student, getting to know peers, and to best prepare them with a orientation leader or a person that has been here at Florida State for at least a year. Also during this time, we will have some evening activities. So we have something called Knowles at Night. Give your student an opportunity to, on that first night, they will be in one of our student centers watching movies, playing games, things like that, to have the opportunity to engage with other students. A big point for this, on that day one, there is no family programming. So what we say for our family members, we want you all to drop off your student, let them check in the housing if they're staying with us on campus. But for you all, there is no family programming on that first day. That is important to note. There's no family programming on that first day. We think this is a great time for you as family members to kind of go get settled. Your students going to settle in as well. We want you to go relax, get settled, knowing that the next day you will have sessions of your own to attend, which will move us to the next slide. So day two. So for our day two, their students and families are going to be at the Civic Center. So our orientation mainly will take place at the Civic Center, and you all, the Donald Tucker Civic Center, I'm sorry, say the whole title for you all. You will have the opportunity to go to the Civic Center. We'll give you a map, we'll give you directions so you know where to go. You will be parking at the Civic Center. Parking will be free for you all, so you're more than welcome to leave your cars there. This is when we'll do our family check-in. So families will check in from that 7:30 to 8:15 a.m. time frame. Also during this time, if you or your student need to meet with financial aid, university health services, they will all be present in that morning as well if you need to drop off any forms for your student. If they have not submitted a photo for their FSU ID, they can get their FSU ID photo taken there and pick up their card from there as well. Our opening session, our welcome session, will begin at 9 a.m. Between that 8:15 and 9 a.m. time frame, we do have a breakfast that we are offering for our students and families in the concourse of the Civic Center. So make sure you grab a quick breakfast on us, and then join us in the arena where we will then have a welcome that will take place. So throughout day two, some things you should know: it is a combination of combined and separate sessions about academics, housing, safety, wellness, and involvement here on campus. Again, this schedule will be you will have the schedule when you get the email after registration. So that week before, there will be a schedule, and we will post another schedule on our website, which we will share here in a bit. That will be a little more of a skeleton schedule, but that really more in-depth one will come in that pre-arrival email. But again, it's a combination of being together with your student for some sessions, but also having some family sessions that are targeted just for you all, whether that be with New Student Family Programs, some of our other campus partners, including the Department of Student Support and Transitions, hearing from undergraduate studies about best ways to support your student in their academics, and then obviously housing, again, safety, wellness, and involvement. On the second slide, we kind of continue to talk about that day two schedule. So the first is they get to meet with their academic college on this day, which is really exciting. So your student will get to meet with their academic college to kind of talk through what advising is going to look like for the next day for them. This is a great time, again, for your students to ask questions and get to engage with their college. You all will also go with your student. So it's important. You all will also go with your student to meet with their college, to go to their college and talk to their academic college directly. excuse me, there'll also be a resource fair taking place in the Civic Center where we'll have a multitude of both on-campus and off-campus resources and departments there tabling to offer information. Make sure you pick up some brochures from our campus partners and make sure you get some contact information that will make you feel most comfortable leaving your new knoll here with us and just learn a little bit more about involvement. Again, like I mentioned, your orientation leader, small groups, your students will have those, and you all will also get to engage with our orientation leaders on your own, as well as meet other family members that will be coming and joining us here at Florida State. Again, those small groups will be really great for your student to get to meet other students and also get to hear from what we call a veteran or engaged student, more engaged student that has been here for a little bit longer. Again, day 2 also ends for our students and for you all, mostly with our students with evening activities. So your students will have the opportunity to go to our recreational facility here on campus. We call it the Leach Recreation Center. And there's a silent disco going on. There'll be various other opportunities for your student to get to engage on that day 2 time frame. Moving on to our third day, day 3 is really going to be heavily involving our academic partners. So on day 3, those students that are staying on campus will check out of housing. They can check out between 7 to 8:15 a.m. They're not checking out that whole entire time. Your student that is staying on campus with us will check out during this 7 to 8:15 a.m. time frame. They'll have a final orientation leader small group on this day, and then they will go to academic advising dismissal. So we'll dismiss them. An orientation leader will walk your student over to their advising. During that time, you all as family members will have your own session with our orientation leaders, as well as getting to engage some other family members and do some final wrap up while your student is in advising. So you will not go with your student to academic advising. They will go meet with their advisor on their own, and you'll be able to meet up with them later in the evening. Your student will also get to register for classes during that time frame. As you can see, families will be in the Ask You Student Life Center. That's where you all will spend your day, have breakfast in there. You will hear from the Career Center. You'll hear about mental and physical wellness. And then you will get to do what we call our Ask the Experts panel, where you hear from some orientation leaders as well as some campus partners for you to ask any questions you may have about best supporting your student. Day 3 and the whole orientation session for you and your student will end between 12 and 12:30 p.m. on day 3. We say that 12:30 p.m. time frame because we do have something called course registration labs through New Student and Family Programs, where if your student is having trouble registering for classes, they can come to those labs, and those will end at 12:30. Moving on to our very last slide here before we move on to questions is post-orientation. So after your student has registered for classes, there are some options for you and your student to engage in. There are some optional tours, so we'll do some campus tours, hitting what we call our campus hotspots. For you and your student, you all can take that our orientation leaders will facilitate to and with you all. There also is a housing showroom. So this is when we like to say, if you want to bring the measuring tape and kind of look around rooms, you absolutely can. Give you the opportunity to see what a residence hall room will look like for your student. And it'll be set up for them to see, and you can look at it as well so that you can get a sense of what to expect. And then we'll have some various open houses from some of the offices here on campus and departments. So you can go in and talk to them directly. You also can go to the bookstore as well if you want to check out the bookstore and leave with any merch that you want to make sure you have. So that is the end of our presentation, but we do want to go ahead and open it up for questions. So how we're going to do questions is I see some questions have already kind of started in the chat. So you can do questions one of two ways. So you can either drop them in the chat to Grant and I, and we will answer them out loud to everyone. Or you are more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask us any questions you may have. So Grant's gonna stop sharing his screen here for a second and allow for you all to ask us any questions you may have. We're going to go ahead and start with some of the questions we have here in the chat, and make sure we share some of those links out to you all as we are going through this. So the first question I see here is, my student may want to switch majors. Will the counselor be able to advise on classes that would accommodate a switch in major? Absolutely. So that will be that'll be a great time for, during those academic advising sessions, for your student to talk to their advisor directly about saying like, hey, I'm really thinking about switching my major. What classes would you recommend that may count for both? So yes, it's absolutely a question that your student can ask their advisor. I see a question here. Is the 30-minute registration session completed after orientation ends at 1 p.m. On the final day? So actually, no, your student will have completed registration completely by that 12:30 time frame. So they will have, they'll meet with their advisor around 11 a.m. With a group, and they should be done registering by that 12:30 time frame. So you all should be able to get out of Tallahassee and get on to where you need to go by that 1 p.m. time frame. For involvement, does it talk about marching bands? So I'm assuming the marching chiefs and how to try out. So in our involvement session, it does not directly talk about marching band and how to get involved. However, that is a question that you can ask during that time frame, and we can make sure that you and your student get connected to those things. There's a question here is, can students visit more than one college? Unfortunately not. Your student will only be able to go to the college that they are currently, where their major currently resides in. And those colleges encompass many majors. So unfortunately they can only go to one college, but they are more than welcome to reach out to another college. And during that even time frame, they can see if they can squeeze you all in to talk. So next question is, should students bring their personal laptop to meet with their advisor and register for classes? Yes, we absolutely recommend your student bring their laptop or iPad, phone, wherever they want to register on. Some of our advising locations will allow, will have be in a computer lab, but many of them will not. And in that pre-arrival email, we will share that your student needs to bring their laptop or an iPad of someone that they want to make sure they're able to register for. Question here is, will students attending the earlier orientation session get priority class selection for enrollment? So will students attending the last sessions be disadvantaged? So no, again, like I shared earlier, you know, your student will make sure your student will have classes. It may not be the classes that they want at a certain time, but they will get into the classes that they need to begin completing their degree. As far as honors, your student should be hearing from the Honors College about meeting with honors advisors, but they will mainly meet with their advisors for their college, specifically where their major is, that they're more than welcome to reach out to their honors advisors as well during their time here. So we have a question here about student IDs. So your student will pick up their student ID on day 2. So when we go into the Civic Center, the same place where students can take their photos, if they weren't able to do so, they'll be able to pick up their FSU ID again on that day 2 time frame. So again, that day 2 in the Civic Center, your student will be able to pick up their student ID from there. For roommates for orientation, so how we do roommates for orientation is we will, during check-in, we'll kind of go down the line and ask folks, hi, because oftentimes folks come with their friends and they come to the same sessions. And if they want to room together, as long as if they want to room together, we can make that accommodation. They just need to make sure we know. But generally for roommates, it is generally whoever's going to be beside you or behind you will be your roommate, as long as they align with the same sex/gender as you do for that rooming. Because you're staying in Wildwood, the residence hall we're staying in is what we call suite style. So there's a room with 2 beds on this side and a room with 2 beds on this side. And the thing that they share is the restroom. So the toilet and the shower is what they will share. So that is how we do roommates for orientation. Do you need to complete a mathematics placement exam prior to orientation? That will depend on your major. So you want to make sure that whatever information your student needs to complete, make sure they reach out to their academic college to make sure if they need to complete a math placement exam for whatever degree they are pursuing. A question here about how are students transported to the Civic Center during orientation. We will be busing students from the residence halls to the Civic Center if they're staying with us on campus. If your student chooses to opt out and stay off campus with you all, then you all will be able to drive them in and park at, as I mentioned, park at the Civic Center. But we will be busing students from the residence hall to the Civic Center there and back for their orientation session there. The question is there a way to register for honors tour? To do that, you need to go to the Honors College. So we recommend that you go ahead and reach out to the Honors College directly to do so. I will go ahead and drop that link to the Honors College for you all here in the chat. So give me just a second to make sure. Here we go. I will share this with all the people. Let's see, I'm going to give this to everyone. Here we go. So here is the honors email, website page that you were able to utilize for that. Let's see, where was my other questions? Thank you all for submitting questions. We are happy to answer them. So next question. When do students find out their residence hall assignments? So your students will find out their residence hall assignments about mid to late June. So that June 1 date of letting us know they're staying on campus. They will then between mid-June to about early July, I'm so sorry, to about early July, they will share that information and they will hear that directly from housing themselves. At the start of day 2, to do the parents pick up their student from the residence hall, bringing them to Civic Center? No, again, that is the bus will drop them off. So you can just meet your student there to do so. So my student's attending the last orientation before summer B. Does he register for his summer B class at that time? Yes. So your student will register for summer B classes during that time frame. Yes, you can. The question is, can we do the photo ID ahead of time online and upload and pick up on campus? Yes. So for your student's ID, they are absolutely able to submit those online, and then we will. They are able to pick them up on that second day of orientation. So someone asked a question they want to find out about rushing. So I'm assuming this is fraternity and sorority life recruitment. I understand they move in early. How does that work? So your student, depending on which council they're going through, so if they're going through Panhellenic, which is our historically female fraternity and sorority experience, recruitment dates have not fully been released yet, but they usually happen in about mid-August right before the first day of classes start on the 22nd. So recruitment will usually end for Panhellenic on the 21st. And how they move in early is once they have signed up for recruitment, they will reach out to housing directly and say like, hi, I need to move in early for recruitment. And our fraternity and sorority life office will connect with housing to give the list of students that are able to move in early for recruitment. So is dinner provided to the students first evening, or do they have to eat prior to arrival? So we ask that students eat prior to arrival before on that night 1 or day 1 when they check in between 5:30 and 6:15 p.m. So we are not providing dinner during that time frame, but we are providing breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then breakfast for the following 2 days. So will the advisor they meet with be their advisor for that whole year? It depends. Keep in mind, we are any given orientation date or session can have up to 300 students in it. And we want to make sure that your student is getting the best advising possible, but also getting the classes that they need. So there is a chance that it'll be the same advisor, but do not assume that the person they meet with will be their advisor for the entire year. To the question of, can students add and drop classes after orientation? Yes, but they need to make sure they check with their advisor, because you don't want to drop a class and then not be able to fill it with another option. So make sure they talk with their advisor during orientation about that before doing so. So if a student is coming to orientation alone and flying into Tallahassee, what is the best way to get to campus? So there's a few ways. So obviously there's Uber, Lyft, any taxiing service that will get them to campus. Also, many of the airport, and as many do, will have a shuttle service that may drop off students here. Check in with the Tallahassee airport to see what that process looks like. But most students either Uber, Lyft, or use some other taxiing service there. So I see my student is starting summer B, and his orientation is June 15th through the 17th. We're going to be able to move into his residence hall for the summer on June 15th. To best answer that question, you all will need to check in with housing, and we can drop that link as well for your student to reach out directly, because that is not 100% through us, that is through our housing department. So really want to make sure that you all get that link. So we're going to drop that here in the chat for you all to do housing. Let's see, where did my other questions go? Don't want to lose the questions. Here we go. All right, so our next question, how about exploratory or undecided majors? Which college do they meet with? Are there specific advisors for those students? So for those students, when they, on your student's name tag will be a few things. One, it'll tell them who their orientation leader is. It'll also tell them what college they fall within. So they will have the opportunity, if your student is an exploratory or undecided major student, on their name tag, it'll tell them, it will acknowledge that, and it'll tell them where they need to go. So yes, they will be able to meet with an advisor, and that is how we had them go meet with a college specifically. So if the question is, we're driving the students to the orientation place on the second day, only if they're staying off campus. If they're staying on campus, we will have a bus that will take them over. So for business majors, is there a specific laptop students should get? Will they provide this type of information at orientation? Absolutely, and that is a great question that your student should ask their advisor. And you also can ask the colleges. As I mentioned, you all will also have the opportunity to go meet with the colleges, and you can ask those kind of questions. To that point, there are some majors that may require specific software, specific computers or laptops. Definitely a great question to ask during that Meet Your College session. Will students be registering for both the fall and spring, the summer and fall semesters at the same time? So your student will have the opportunity to do so. They just need to make sure they check in with their advisor as they're doing so. The question is, will honors have separate sessions? Also, if the student changes their mind about staying on campus orientation, they didn't know it was optional, are they able to change it if they already registered? Yes. So the first question about will honors have separate sessions, we will have the opportunity for you to reach out to honors, and you may be able to do an open house with them. We're working directly with them in the hopes of being able to do that during orientation. If your student chooses to opt out of staying on campus, they can do so. If they go back into their registration system, they can unselect that they're staying on, that they would not like to stay on campus. They can stay with you all in a hotel or wherever else you are staying off campus. So will there be any free time in the evening where the student is allowed to go off campus with their parents or family member, for example, dinner with the future roommate's family to meet them X, Y, and Z? So we like for our students to stay on campus if they're staying on campus with us, to stay on campus and do evening activities during that time frame, just because we want to make sure folks are being safe. We know where folks are going during that time. and making sure they're able to get back on campus with us. We are not checking them in or anything like that, but we do want to make sure they're being safe. So in the evenings, I do want to recognize that on that day 2, students are really not done until like 8 p.m. Because you all have dinner with us in the Civic Center on day 2. So maybe not the best time because of dinner, but on that day 3, if you all want to grab lunch with them, with anyone, you're more welcome to do so once they're done with the advising. I see some questions. Some of them are questions I've answered already, or maybe in another way. So if a student opts out of staying at the residence halls or presence halls during orientation, can he still participate in the evening activities? Absolutely. They just need to make sure that either they're driving or they're riding with a family member, that someone's able to pick them up at the end of that, but they absolutely can participate in evening activities, whether they're staying on campus with us or not. So for family members, it says, did you say family members or parents have activities at night the second day? So no, after around 7, our family members will be done for the day on day 2. And our students will stay. They have a final small group and they have evening activities, but you all are free around 7:30 on that day to be able to do so. And I can confirm with you at 7 p.m. family members, you will be done on day 2. Your student will stay and finish, they do another small group and then have evening activities. So students will have an opportunity to get their IDs during orientation. This needs to not be completed before or after session. So they have the option to do it beforehand. So your student should have gotten information about register or about submitting their photo for their ID. So they can do that beforehand and submit it and pick up their ID here during orientation on the second day, or they can take their photo and pick it up the same day. So they can do the photo and give them the ID in the same motion. But we're really pushing our students and asking you all to invite them to upload their photos beforehand so they can pick them up once they arrive with us. So is PC or Mac recommended? It just depends on your student's desire or maybe what their major is requiring them for software. Both are great options. It really depends on your student's preference of what they would like. So if a student was admitted as a dance major, can they major in another area as well? Absolutely. Really want to make sure when we're thinking about double majoring that your student is thinking about that ahead of time and talking with their advisor during orientation so that they can get the best information to do so and make sure that it fits within the time constraints of their day, but also that they're completing their major in the time frame they would like to. So if pursuing an engineering degree, will those students be going to the off-campus site when visiting the college? So no, they will not. We will have the College of Engineering, we'll have a location here on campus. Most of them will be in the Civic Center or right across the street in our law school. So there's space, the College of Engineering will be here on campus. They do not have to go to the actual campus away from main Tallahassee campus. Do you know if transfer students have to pay an admissions fee? And if so, where would I find that link? So yes, transfer students do have to pay an admissions fee. They should have gotten that email. They should have got that in an email when they got accepted to Florida State. There should have been a link for them to fill out that information to make sure they have that information to do so. Do we just walk and find the dorm or residence hall and walk in, or do we ask the orientation person we're with to take us? I'm assuming this is for the open house, the showroom, I'm sorry. But for the showroom, there will be housing staff that will kind of walk you through. You'll just come back to where we have folks staying, which is in Wildwood 1 and 2, and we will go from there. And they can kind of take you to the showrooms themselves. There's 2 students per room, 2 students per room, suite style. So 4 students share 1 bathroom. It's kind of how we have it set up there. For pathway students, is orientation 3 days? I heard us in September and our families invited. So for our pathway students, you want to make sure that you are following what Pathways is sharing with you all. And again, you want to make sure you check in with Pathways directly to make sure that you are getting the best information possible. So I'm going to share a link here for pathways because it is a little bit different than some of our other students here on campus. So give me just a second. I will drop that here. So that is a link to information about our pathway students. So let me find my questions again. Let's see. Okay. So when will the residence hall or dorm placement come out for summer B and fall? So for summer B, you should be looking for that in about the next 2 weeks or so, in about mid-May, so that you all can make sure that you are ready to move your student in for summer B in the fall. Again, that'll come out in about mid to early July. Will a packing list be sent to us for what they will need in the residence hall? So yes, if they're staying in the residence hall, in that pre-arrival email, there will be a packing list for your students to make sure they have what they need here on campus, but also for advising. Do most students stay on campus? A great deal, majority of our students do happen to stay on campus with us. Again, it's quite convenient for students. It also gives an opportunity to get a sense of what it feels like to stay in a residence hall and not the first time they do that the day you drop them off on their first day. They do get the opportunity to do so. And we have late night activities. They easily can go straight to bed from there. And then we bus them everywhere they need to go. So most students do choose to stay on campus. So what time do the evening activities end? So they decide not to stay on campus. Depending on the day, so I can tell you. So our evening activities on the first day end around 11 p.m. And then same for day 2. So if your student can, if you want to, pick them up around like 9 or 10, you're more than welcome to do so. That is totally appropriate. But they do end for us to send students back to the residence hall. They're staying with us on campus. It ends at 11, but you're more than welcome to pick them up earlier than that for that time frame. So someone asked a question about roommates again. Again, it is 2 students will stay in the room with the 2 beds. There's a bathroom in between and then 2 more students. So again, it's called suite style. So 2 beds. So this is one room this way, and then there's a bathroom in the middle. Will students have the opportunity to sign up for intramural sports or club sport tryouts during orientation? We will have campus rec that will be present at the involvement as well as the resource fair. So it depends on what sport it is, but we will have representatives from club sports that can best answer that question for you all during, the resource fair. How early before orientation can we get our modules done? So we will open up the modules a week before your orientation session. So for example, like I said, the first orientation session is May 15th. So on May 8th, we will open orientation sessions, or not orientation sessions, I'm so sorry. We'll open modules. So the session starts the 15th, we will open modules. So you will have a week in advance before completing your modules, just to give you enough time to do so. The question is it really late to pair it with a roommate? It depends if you're talking about for orientation or for the school year. So for orientation, again, it is dependent on how people arrive. For the school year, you want to make sure you check in with housing. Do they need bedding for orientation? Yes, if they're staying on campus, they will need to bring their own bedding. It is for a twin XL bed, similar to what they will need for if they're staying in the residence hall for their first year. They will need the same thing. So yes, they will need to bring their own bedding for that time frame, including toiletries, towels, and things of that nature. If students' last day for summer session is Friday, what is the last day they have to be moved out? That will depend on housing. So that's a great question to ask housing directly about move in, move out, because it depends on the student specifically. I've answered the question about moving dates for summer B. You should see those in the next 2 or 3 weeks or so. How do you schedule pre-medical advising if interested? So we have some breakout sessions that take place during orientation, and one of them is pre-health as well as pre-law. So that your student can check to go to that session. You and your student can go together to that session to learn about pre-med advising and kind of get some insight into what they need to do to make sure they are on track to get to the career they would like to be at. Another way to contact our future roommate before move-in if we are getting assigned a random roommate. So for orientation, no, it will depend on, honestly, we do it based on who is in line. So who is in line together, we will say, okay, you two are in line together. Are y'all good with being roommates? Yes, great. And that's how we'll check you all in. We do that because some people, to make sure that students have someone to stay with during their orientation timeframe. We do have some students that maybe miss their session or need a schedule for any reason, and pre-assigning, the roommate may leave your student in a room by themselves. For honors presidential scholar students, I'm hearing that they need to reach out to honors advisors separately from the advisor during orientation. Do we need to do this prior to orientation, provide communication from the honors advisor to ensure there are no discrepancies? Yes, we highly recommend that you reach out to the honors college directly to make sure you have the best information for that. And they may have you just meet with an advisor once you're here on campus, but for the best chances, go ahead and reach out to the honors college to make sure you have the best information possible. So yes, on day 3, when you're done, if you want to see the showroom, you will just come back to Wildwood and we would do the showroom from there. Again, someone from housing will be able to do that. How do you sign up for sorority recruitment in the fall? You make sure you're checking out our social media as well as your students are following social media, specifically FSU FSL. Again, that's FSU FSL on multiple social media platforms, and also checking the website. That is when they will release when recruitment will take place. But again, that's usually the 2nd or 3rd week in August through the day before classes start on the 22nd. So it should end by the 21st. Moving dates have not been announced for fall as of yet, so make sure you're checking the housing website to make sure that you have the best information. Where can we park when arriving? So we have a lot, and we will make sure to designate that lot as folks are coming in. That is just a few, not too far from the residence hall. Some folks choose to kind of pull up and drop off things. Again, this is not to be like a full move-in for the summer. This is for like quick 1-2 nights. So you don't have to bring a lot of things, but you're more than welcome to pick up, drop off some things, and then go park your car. And we will have a place to show you where you can park. That will be best for that. So what meals are covered by the guest meal plans we bought? So those meals will be breakfast, lunch, dinner on day 2, as well as breakfast and lunch on day 3. I'm like checking to make sure that I've answered as many of these questions as possible. Okay, great. So thank you all again. We are actually at time. We are right at 6:59. So again, we want to say thank you so much for spending your evening with us and getting your questions answered. We hope we weren't able to answer everyone's questions. We hope we were able to answer as many as possible and get you some great information. If you do continue to have questions or just want to connect with our office, you can go ahead and email us at nsfp@fsu.edu. Again, that is nsfp at fsu.edu. And for our social media, it is NSFP. It is FSU NSFP, and I'll put that here for you all. Grant posted them for me. Thank you so much, Grant. Grant put our email as well as our office phone number and then our social media platforms. For folks asking where can you access the recording, we will be uploading the recording in the next day or 2. Be on the lookout for a message on Facebook letting you all know when it's been posted. But we'll share this on social media to let you all know that the post went up. so you can go back and look through it. Again, thank you so much. Thank you, Grant, for working the chat for us, showing us the slides. We really appreciate you doing so. Um, we cannot wait to meet you all. So we're excited to be at least the first two faces that many of you will get to see, and you will see us during orientation in some capacity, whether you see us on another webinar or in person for you and your students' orientation session. Again, thank you all so much and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye.